On the eve of our wedding, my boyfriend posted a message, "I'm tired of it and want to break up, how can I make her bring it up?" He forgot to post anonymously. I saw it when I was at the wedding decoration site. At the wedding decoration site, I learned that Asher wanted to break up with me. My best friend sent me a link. "Take a look for yourself, that scumbag of yours, he's so despicable. I knew he wasn't a good guy long ago." The question in the link was quite catching. "I'm tired of it and want to break up, how can I make her bring it up?" I clicked on it and took a look. It was Asher. He forgot to click on the anonymous option. There were thousands of replies in the comment section and they were all scolding him. While I was in a daze, a staff member asked me politely, "Miss Sienna, would you like to use gardenias for your bouquet?" I came to my senses and stared at the gardenias for a moment. The fragrance of the flowers filled my nostrils. I had chosen these gardenias myself because the leaves of gardenias stay green and don't wither for a long time, which also means the eternity and toughness of love. Asher and I had been together for 5 years, and of course I hoped that our love could also withstand the test of eternity. "Miss Sienna, oh, I took the bouquet, sorry, I suddenly don't feel well, can we continue this another day?" I sat aside to take a rest and carefully read Asher's post. Men are really tired in this world. Does it mean that we have to get married just because we've been together for a long time? Love will fade away. I loved her deeply before, but as the wedding is approaching, seeing her busy every day without makeup, I don't have any feelings for her anymore. Do you know she's just like my mother? Would any man in the world be willing to marry a woman like her and have children with her? I just feel scared when I think about it, and she asked me to accompany her to decorate the wedding venue. I don't even want to look at her. These words suddenly reminded me of what happened before I set out today. I told him at that time, "The wedding hasn't been planned well yet, let's go and decorate the venue together." But he just lay in bed, covered his head with the quilt and didn't move. When I called him again, he said impatiently that he had gone to bed too late last night and that I could go by myself. Now I realized that this was the real reason he didn't want to marry me anymore, but he forgot that when he was chasing me, he said he would give me a grand and romantic wedding. My best friend called me, "Are you going to break up or not? If you don't break up, I'll come and take you away with a forklift." What Jimia meant was I had a disease, so don't even think about fighting for Ming Ming's custody through litigation. Do you really want to turn into an old hag for the rest of your life? If you don't break up, don't leave a seat for me at the wedding. I won't go, and I won't give you the 99,999 yuan gift money that I've prepared. I was amused by my best friend's exaggerated tone. Suddenly her chattering mouth stopped and there was some hesitation in her words. "Sienna, are you okay?" I carefully felt my own state. "I'm okay, really." I thought I would cry, be sad, and want to question him why he treated me like this, but surprisingly I was quite calm. I had been prepared for this for a long time. On my way home I saw that Asher was arguing with others in the comment section. Judging from the fierce words, if I guessed right, it should be my best friend's alternate account. "Heartless and ungrateful thing, if you're tired of it, why didn't you say so earlier? 5 years of a girl's youth, what is she supposed to do in the future?" Asher replied righteously, "Isn't a man's youth also youth? Stop being so feminist. I haven't done anything wrong to her, can't I just want to break up?" I felt a bit like laughing thinking about it carefully. What he said was actually quite reasonable. "Let you stay with a workaholic for 5 years. I wonder if you'll get tired of it. There's no charm at all. Hugging her is not as good as hugging a doll." After seeing this, I exited the post. According to Asher's description, it seemed that living with me was really painful for him. "I'm a workaholic because I think only when I have money in my own hands can I feel secure." He criticized every aspect of me but forgot that everything he had came from me. I looked out of the window and my mind was full of that winter 5 years ago. He was shivering with cold downstairs at my home, holding roasted chestnuts and candied haw in his hands. On a night when it was -5 degrees Celsius, he had been keeping the roasted chestnuts in his arms all the time. At that time I wanted to invite him into my home to warm up, but he blushed and waved his hands nervously. "In the cold winter night? No, it's too late, it's cold outside, you should go home quickly, I'll watch you go upstairs." I touched his hot cheeks and deliberately teased him. "Quick, warm your hands with your cheeks, they're like a heater." Asher was embarrassed. He stamped his feet and said childishly and threateningly, "If you make fun of me again, I'll kiss you." I secretly kissed him and then turned around and ran upstairs. When I looked back, I could still see Asher standing under the street lamp, covering his face and giggling. But now he said that hugging me was not as good as hugging a doll. I knew it, that winter would never come back anyway. But when I carefully felt my inner feelings, I was as calm as still water. Looking back, in fact, Asher's changes had already been hidden in the details long ago. When I got home, Asher just turned his head when he heard the sound of the door closing. He looked angry and his fingers were still typing quickly on the keyboard. I guessed that someone in the comment section must have said something he didn't like to hear again. About half an hour later, he finally put his phone aside and turned to look at me. "I want to recharge some money for the game." I didn't say anything and turned around to go to the kitchen to cook. After all, I was a bit hungry after a busy day. He said behind me, "You should learn how to make sweet and sour pork better. The one you made last time was a bit too sweet." I paused for a moment and ignored him. However, I couldn't help thinking about the words he argued with others in the comment section in my mind. While I was distracted, I burned my finger when frying the sliced pork. I couldn't help crying out in pain. The burning pain was really intense. What's wrong now? Asher was sitting in the living room but didn't move at all. What are you up to this time? Suddenly I realized that although he had done something really excessive, it couldn't stir up any emotions in me. Suddenly I came to my senses and said, Asher, let's break up. Unexpectedly, he was the one who was stunned first. He asked me why, Sienna, our wedding date has already been set and our relatives and friends have already been informed. Can we just call it off now? If I ignored the flash of relief in his eyes, I might think that I was wrong. Unfortunately, I could see everything clearly now. He didn't love me. Not only did he want to hurt me badly, but he also wanted to keep his good image all the time. Even for breaking up, he didn't dare to say it himself. I said word by word, after all, you don't have feelings for me anymore. His face suddenly turned pale. After a long while he reluctantly accepted it and returned to normal. Did you see it? I nodded. The wedding was just around the corner. It could be seen that Asher was really worried and even forgot to set the anonymous option. He scratched his head and I rarely saw his cheeks turn red again, but this time it wasn't because he was expressing his love to me, but simply because he was embarrassed. I'm sorry, but believe me, I didn't cheat on you. It's just that the 5 years have already worn out our love completely. I said I understood. You can move out now. I bought the house, so he was the one who had to leave. He paused for a moment, then got up and went to the storeroom to take out a suitcase. I sat quietly on the sofa reading a book and would remind him from time to time to take all his things. But as time passed by, when I was really absorbed in reading, he suddenly made a lot of noise. It could be seen that he was a bit unhappy and even angry. I shook my head. He didn't know when he could learn to hide his emotions. This don't you want it either? Suddenly he walked up to me holding a ring in his palm. It wasn't a wedding ring, just an ordinary plain ring. 5 years ago, Asher slipped it onto my finger when I wasn't paying attention. Miss Sienna, once you put on my ring, you're mine. Don't take off this ring. I'll change it for a wedding ring for you later. I took a look at the plain ring that was almost worn out and shook my head. No thanks. There was no use keeping it. He was extremely angry and finally put the ring into his pocket. I'm leaving. The moment the door closed, I felt a lot lighter. Asher had taken his things away and the house looked much cleaner and tidier. Finally, I didn't have to spend a lot of time cleaning it every day. I took a bath and felt very comfortable. I also drank a glass of milk and soon started yawning continuously. But before going to bed, Asher sent me several messages. I thought they would be scolding or complaining about me, but unexpectedly they were just to inform me I found a new house. I took a look and didn't reply. The chat interface showed that the last conversation between Asher and I was 3 months ago. We didn't chat when we were together, and there was even less need to say these things after breaking up. I adjusted my posture to go to sleep, but my phone rang several times in a row. Below that message were several photos of the bedroom and kitchen of the new house. I was a bit helpless, but considering our past relationship, I still replied with received. The other side showed the other party is typing for a while. I ignored it and was really confused by Asher's behavior. The sleepiness that I had just managed to build up was gone, so I had to get up and try to fall asleep again. While wandering around in the bedroom, I saw the diary in the corner. The small pink notebook was very girly, but it wasn't mine. All the above were some happy moments recorded by Asher. Now I just can't help laughing when I look at them. Look like a little cat with ice cream all over your face. There was a photo of me eating an ice cream cone attached below. Someone was really excited at the concert, 100 times happier than seeing her boyfriend. I was lost in thought for a moment and remembered one of the craziest things we did after graduation. We traveled across most of China to watch my idol's concert, and Asher secretly bought the tickets from scalpers only. I closed the diary and started to think about why it was here. When making the wedding video, I wanted to add it in, but Asher clearly said it couldn't be found, so I helplessly put it in the drawer. This childish trick of Asher's was too obvious. After breaking up, did he still want to make me feel sad for a few more days? Fortunately, Asher didn't play any more tricks later. For a month after the breakup, neither of us took the initiative to contact the other tacitly. Just as the saying goes, the best day should be like a dead person. But I was still under quite a lot of pressure. Just as Asher said, we had already informed our relatives and friends that we would get married in 3 months. Our aunts and other relatives were gossipy. I didn't know what rumors would spread if we called off the wedding now. What's the problem? Find a boyfriend within a month, get to know each other in 2 months, and then directly walk into the marriage hall in 3 months. I frowned. Isn't it too fast? Fast? What do you mean? My best friend glared at me. You were slow before, but you were in a relationship for 5 years with no result. Who said flash marriage is bad? Leave it to me. Besides, it's a flash marriage for you, but not for the other person, huh? I looked at my best friend in confusion, but she stopped talking under my best friend's arrangement. I went on a blind date. But when on the date, I ran into Asher. We stared at each other and he was clenching his teeth as if he was about to break them. Sienna, you're really quick. I raised my eyebrows, not understanding where his anger came from. It was a bit quick, but we had already broken up after 5 years of being in a relationship. I was already 26 years old. Was I supposed to spend 2 more years mourning this dead relationship? Sienna, who is this? The man beside me looked at me. I got along very well with this man, and coincidentally we were from the same hometown. His name was Oliver. Sorry, I forgot to introduce him. This is a friend I used to be very close to. Asher frowned tightly and opened his mouth, not knowing what wanted to say but the man on the blind date, and I nodded to Asher tacitly at the same time. Sorry, we have a stage play to watch. When I got up to leave I wanted to get my coat myself, but when I looked back Oliver had already put my coat on his forearm. He was even holding my bag in his hand. I was a bit stunned. I hadn't enjoyed such treatment from Asher for many years. Oliver sent me downstairs to my community in the evening. We smiled and said to each other, "How was the stage play today?" He looked serious and I nodded sincerely. Then, "Next time could you invite me to watch another one?" I understood the implication in his words and tapped my toes on the ground cheerfully. After the last relationship I was no longer shy and could express what was on my mind generously. "Sure, see you next Friday." I went home in a good mood, but when I saw Asher leaning against the wall at my doorstep I felt helpless in my heart. "You moved out a month ago," I reminded him kindly. Asher took a look at his watch and his face looked very unpleasant. "Sienna, it's already 10:30 in the evening. What stage play did you watch that took so long?" The voice-activated light that was about to go out lit up again. His agitated voice was noisy in the corridor. Helplessly I could only open the door and let him into the house. "Sienna, you're a girl. Do you know what it means to go out with a man at night? Besides, it's only been a month since we broke up and you're already looking for the next one. Where do you put our 5-year relationship?" As he spoke he started to get anxious and kicked the cardboard box beside the door directly. The things inside made a clattering sound. Asher frowned when he saw clearly that it was the disassembled Lego inside. He almost lost his temper. "Are you so eager to get rid of everything related to me?" Sienna, I wasn't sure if it was an illusion, but I seemed to hear a hint of loneliness and disappointment in his tone, that it seemed that he thought it was normal for me to be depressed for a month after the breakup. However, my life was becoming more and more regular now, and I was getting in touch with more and more people, which was completely different from what he had imagined. I took a look at the Lego. "Since you're here you can take it away directly." He gritted his teeth and looked at me, demanding an answer from me in a rude tone. "Are you in a hurry to throw away this Lego, or to throw me away? I spent 3 days putting it together and you just took it apart like this." I couldn't help but shook my head with a smile. "Wasn't it you who posted that message and wanted to break up?" Asher was left speechless by my question and his cheeks turned red with anger. Finally he reluctantly found a lame excuse. "I think you don't cherish the fruits of my labor. Don't they look bad at home?" I sat on the sofa and looked at him calmly. "I didn't like these things in the first place. I'm allergic to dust mites. Lego is too easy to accumulate dust and not easy to clean either." Asher seemed to be deflated and looked a bit defeated when sitting opposite me. Coming back at 10:30 in the evening, what good girl would hang out with a man outside in the middle of the night? I looked at him with a polite smile on my lips. "We've already broken up. It seems that it has nothing to do with you when I go out with whom and at what time." Asher was choked and his eyes turned red with anger. The habit that he couldn't help crying when he got angry hadn't changed in the past. I always liked to make him cry and then coax him back cheekily. After being silent for a long time, Asher seemed to have found a very sufficient reason. "Our two families don't know about our breakup yet. I'm responsible for your safety now, otherwise your mother will come to me and ask for—" I finally couldn't help interrupting his words. "Sorry, I've already told my mother about our breakup. I've refunded the betrothal gifts and the engagement money to your card. Didn't you see it?" Asher stared at me blankly and his face turned pale. I didn't intend to get entangled with Asher anymore and directly asked him to leave. As for the Lego piled up by the door, he still didn't take it away in the end. I didn't know whether Asher was just being stubborn or had really met someone nice. In just 2 days he had already posted several photos of himself with a woman on Moments. My best friend asked me who would want that bastard Asher except you. When I showed her Asher's Moments she was stunned because in her Moments there wasn't a single post from Asher M. "Why?" best friend burst out laughing. "Sienna, do you think he regrets it seeing that you're faster than him? He starts to deliberately stimulate you by posting some moments that only you can see." I put my phone aside and didn't want to guess Asher's psychology too much. But my best friend grabbed my phone and gave Asher a like. "This bastard should be taught a good lesson. I thought he was unreliable from the very beginning. Right, let's see if you'll listen to me next time." I remembered 5 years ago when my best friend strongly opposed my relationship with Asher. She earnestly told me for a whole night, "Asher is too childish. You two are not really suitable." But I had already been touched by Asher's green and clumsy love thought. I was 1 year older than Asher and started working 1 year earlier. At that time he came to my workplace entrance with flowers day after day. My colleagues teased me one after another. Sienna, your boyfriend is so handsome, tsk tisk, it's almost time to get off work, we're going to be fed dog food again. At first I wasn't swayed. I knew that he was just chasing me and showing his affection to me. But on my birthday Asher joined hands with my colleagues to give me a surprise. I only remembered that the birthday cake that year was really big enough for the whole office to share. In the evening he also took me to the beach. Sienna, close your eyes. I was a bit reluctant but I couldn't resist him. When I opened my eyes again there were fireworks all over the sky. Sienna, happy birthday. I was amazed, it seemed that the stars in the night sky had been crushed and hidden in Asher's eyes. The only imperfect thing was that after the fireworks were set off Asher took me and ran for a long time to avoid the police. When we couldn't run anymore we gasped for breath and hid behind the rocks. When we looked at each other I couldn't help laughing. Sienna, I'm sorry, are you exhausted? I originally planned to confess my love to you but it seems that I messed it up. Asher scratched his head in annoyance and looked a bit nervous. I smiled and blinked at him. Then you can't do such childish things again in the future. After being stunned for a moment Asher held me and spun me around on the beach. Finally we kissed on the beach. Sienna, I really like you. 5 years ago he had gone to great lengths to chase me. 5 years later all his thoughts were focused on how to leave me. Grace, why I could only say silently that time was really a cruel thing, that I was getting in touch with all of her more and more frequently. I had to admit that we really hit it off. However, Asher's childish side seemed to surface again. He called me in the middle of the night with a cheerful tone. You liked my moments post, are you jealous? I was busy at that time and Oliver answered the phone for me after getting my tcit approval. He said, just a moment, Sienna is busy. Just this one sentence made the person on the other end of the phone lose his temper. Who are you? What are you doing with Sienna so late? Don't you dare leave, I'll come to find you right now. I frowned. 5 years ago Asher was 20 years old at an impulsive and immature age. But now he was 25 years old. Why was he still so impulsive when doing things? Just ignore him. About half an hour later the door of my house was banged on very rudely. Asher's tie was ASU and his hair was a bit messy. After opening the door he tried to barge in. I blocked the door, afraid that with his hot temper he might start a fight if we disagreed on something. Sienna, he glared at me with red eyes, look at what you've become, are you that horny? Don't you feel dirty sleeping with another man in our bed? I looked at him quietly. His foul language made me look down on him. A moment later Oliver came out of the bathroom. The water pipe is fixed. Asher was stunned for a moment. After realizing the situation he touched his nose to ease the embarrassment. Fixed the water pipe? It was my misunderstanding, I was too worried and lost my composure, I'm sorry. I leaned against the door frame and took over the conversation. There's no need to say sorry, let me introduce you, this is my boyfriend Oliver. Asher's hand holding the door frame turned white with force. He stared at me straight for a long time without saying a word. He stared at me silently as if trying to arouse my guilt that I raised the corners of my mouth slightly. If there's nothing else you can go back, I'm planning to sell this house, you might come here in vain if you come again in the future. Asher's face looked very unpleasant and he glared at me fixedly. Sienna, it's only been a little over a month since we broke up, do you have to be in such a hurry? Of course I was in a hurry. The wedding date had been set and all our relatives and friends had been informed. Suddenly my fiancé changed his mind. I had to find someone else to get married as soon as possible, right? I looked back at Oliver that he wasn't angry. I had already explained this matter clearly to him. A light shawl was gently placed on my shoulders. Compared to Asher's fury, Oliver was much more of a gentle G. Why don't you come in and sit for a while? The veins on Asher's temple were faintly visible. He didn't say anything but took out his phone and made a call. I didn't know who he was calling until I heard the familiar voice on the other end of the phone. It turned out that he was calling my mother. Asher, what's the matter? Asher handed the phone to me. Auntie, let Sienna talk to you herself. I sighed softly, not understanding why Asher did this. Did he realize that he still loved me after we broke up, or was he just unwilling because I didn't beg him as he had expected? Mom, it's nothing, I'll bring my boyfriend home in a couple of days, don't worry about the wedding. After giving the phone back to Asher, he obviously wasn't willing to give up. Oliver patted my shoulder. Go and check if the water pipe I fixed is okay, first. I didn't think Oliver could handle Asher, but in fact I underestimated him. Soon I heard the closing sound of the door. Asher had been sent away so soon. Oliver snapped his fingers, looking a bit smug. I told him that all our relatives and friends had seen that post. If he wants to pursue you again, he has to give you a public apology in public. I understood for Asher 5 years of relationship wasn't enough for him to swallow his pride and apologize. After that night Asher seldom bothered me. Everything was going on as planned until one day when I got home from work and Oliver proposed to me. Even our parents who were far away in our hometowns had been picked up by him. My best friend looked at me smiling while crying. Sienna, marry me. The fireworks burst out and slowly fell from above our heads. I was stunned for a long time and then my eyes became red. After the crowd dispersed, Oliver cleaned up the house all by himself. I was wearing loose pajamas and pulled his clothes from behind mine. Oliver, you've gone to a lot of trouble. He turned around and hugged me gently, putting his chin on top of my head. What trouble? I hardly need to worry about the wedding, of course the engagement should be more solemn. I looked up at him and clearly saw the jealousy in Oliver's eyes. What, are you jealous, or should we change the wedding date to next year? Oliver snorted softly and suddenly bent down to pick me up. He sat on the sofa and let me curl up in his arms like a child. Change it, I just want to pick a good day as soon as possible and marry you. I laughed but still couldn't help asking, are you really okay with it? Oliver looked down at me after a long while. He gently kissed my lips. I'm okay with it. Who told me that I didn't make a move earlier when I was young and gave others a chance? I was so surprised that I sat up straight in his arms all of a sudden. When we were young, the jealousy in Oliver's eyes grew stronger. When I was a kid, I heard that if you want to get close to a girl, you should start with the people around her. It took me a lot of effort to break through that roundabout way, but you had already announced that you were in a relationship. I was a bit stunned and didn't quite understand what he meant. He sounded even more resentful. 5 years ago, I helplessly watched you get together with someone else. Now that I have a chance, I must hold on to it tightly. More than a month later, the wedding was held as originally planned. When I told the master of ceremonies that the groom had been changed, he was so surprised that his jaw almost dropped. Are you sure? Oliver waved at me from the other side. But suddenly my phone rang. It was Asher's mother. I hesitated for a moment but still answered it. Auntie, the female voice on the other end of the phone, was sobbing intermittently with a thick nasal voice. Sienna, yes, it's Andy. I've heard about what happened between you two. That bastard Asher knows he's wrong. He's been staying at home all day without eating or drinking. He's been in a daze. Could you do Auntie a favor? Come back and see him. Auntie is begging you. Auntie knows that it's our naughty boy who's sorry to you. I sighed softly and looked at Oliver, who was waving at me not far away. Sorry, IIE, please help me tell him that a broken mirror can't be reunited. There's no possibility for me and him anymore. After hanging up, I quickly walked towards Oliver. What should we do? When the guys at school heard that I'm getting married, they all clamored to come. I leaned against his arms with a smile in my eyes. Who told our Mr. Oliver that he has students all over the country? Oliver was a university teacher and many of his students came to join in the fun, so the scale of the wedding doubled. But during the ceremony, I unexpectedly saw Asher's figure in the crowd. At a glance, he was standing under the stage in a suit. It seemed to be the suit he had custom made when we were discussing the wedding before. At that time it was well tailored, but now it looked like he was drowning in the clothes. The moment our eyes met, I immediately looked away. Fate plays tricks on people. 3 months ago, the name of the groom at this wedding was clearly Asher's. Unfortunately, he didn't want it. Miss Sienna, are you willing to marry Mr. Oliver beside you as your husband? I looked at Oliver and the corners of my mouth couldn't help rising. I am willing. These 3 simple words, I had secretly practiced them many times when I was alone. The fragrance of the gardenias in my hand wafted into my nostrils. Oliver and I stood on the stage hand in hand. I Connell, the original part of throwing the bouquet. My best friend was sitting under the stage. I walked over and handed the bouquet to her. Woo, you bad woman, why do you have to make me cry? I laughed. I already had a steadfast love and I hoped that she would be the next one. Extra story. Oliver, when I was at school, I heard that she liked a TV series very much. It was called My Sunshine. I didn't like watching this kind of love drama. I thought it was a bit to watch it. But I wanted to see what kind of boy she liked, so I gritted my teeth and watched it. At that time I didn't understand why the lawyer clearly liked that junior girl but had to miss her for 7 or 8 years. Even when they met again, they had to endure a lot before getting together. I thought that if it were me, I would never miss those years. I felt that I was fully prepared and went to find her with confidence. Then it was like a bolt from the blue. She had just accepted another boy's confession and he was completely different from the lawyer in the TV series. I was almost so angry that I spat blood, but it didn't matter. I could change my target and work on it in order to steal her away from him. I tried hard to dig into their relationship and finally succeeded in getting her best friend to promise me that if she broke up one day she would introduce me to her first. Okay, although it seemed to be a long way off, there was still hope. Then I waited for 5 years. They were in love and were about to get married. I gave up hope. When I was drunk as a skunk, I received a call from her best friend. That bastard betrayed Sienna, here's your chance. I had only one thought at that time: how much had I drunk? Was I hallucinating? Later I realized that it was all true. I almost laughed to death. Asher, that idiot whom I had envied for 5 years, finally did 2 things right. He made me have my Sienna too. He gave me a constant reminder that I must be good to Sienna in this life so that I can have her for the rest of my life. Well, today is a good day and every day in the future will surely be. Extra story 1 Asher. It wasn't until I attended Sienna's wedding that I understood what it meant, that the excitement of first meeting is not as good as the lasting affection after a long time together. Sienna and I had been together for 5 years and I was the one who forgot my original intention. But I still remember the first time I saw her. It was at a friend's party. That night she was wearing a red sweater and a pair of jeans. When the music played she would vividly sway from side to side following the rhythm. She was as lively as a little deer and I fell in love with her at first sight. Apparently several boys at the party were also interested in her, feeling a sense of crisis all around. I knew I had to act quickly. I launched a fierce pursuit of her. I went to find her every day without fail, regardless of the time and weather. Finally, on her birthday, the fireworks that night completely moved her. After she became my girlfriend, Sienna took meticulous care of me. Gradually, I forgot my original intention in the midst of such meticulous care. She was graceful in public and good at cooking at home, and her salary was twice as high as mine. At first I was full of competitiveness. How could I earn less than my girlfriend? But after trying hard for 3 months I unconsciously started slacking off. Asher, what would you like to eat tonight? Now when I think about it I feel a bit dazed. Such voices still often ring in my ears. But every time I look up there's no one around me. I was falling further and further behind Sienna's pace. Driven by my pride, a despicable thought actually emerged in my mind. I began to deliberately suppress Sienna. Frequently watching her busy in the kitchen, I would say that she was slovenly and messy. When I saw her busy with work, going out early and coming back late, I would say that she was not considerate or affectionate. After saying such things too many times, they became deeply ingrained in my mind. When we were about to get married, I posted a message on I'm tired of it and want to break up. How can I make her bring it up? It seemed that God heard the longing in my heart. Sienna really broke up with me. But after the breakup she behaved as usual and I wasn't happy at all. So I started to test her, trying to make her unable to leave me. But in the end I found that it seemed that I couldn't leave her. I comforted myself, it must be my competitiveness playing tricks on me. But it wasn't until Sienna introduced her new boyfriend to me that I suddenly realized my true feelings. I love Sienna very much. However, I also clearly knew that Sienna would never come back to me again. I became a bit dispirited. I went back to my hometown and started drinking heavily, trying to numb myself with alcohol. My mother asked me why I didn't prepare for the wedding but came back home instead. I said I broke up with Sienna, I was the one who dumped her. A slap from my mother completely woke me up. But there was no reason for me to go to her anymore. So my mother reluctantly called Sienna for me. From the phone call I also heard Oliver's voice. I knew that there was no hope for us at all. Later at her wedding I saw her for the last time. I was still wearing the suit that was custom-made back then, but Sienna's wedding dress was no longer the style we had chosen before. Back then she asked me with a big smile, Asher, do you think I look good in this dress? I looked at her carefully. Sienna had such a good figure that it was hard to take my eyes off her. But I deliberately said, it's ugly, your shoulders look thick. This time the wedding dress was a shoulder-exposing style that she liked. When I heard Sienna say I do, I felt as if my heart was being tightly grasped, and it was so painful. But I was the one who drove her away with my own hands. I had cut off all the retreats between us. I don't know how I got home. Just when I was lying in bed in the middle of the night I suddenly remembered and posted another message. I regretted, I'm sorry, wish you a happy newlywed life. There were far more scoldings in the comments section than in the previous post. You deserve it, you drove her away before and now you're pretending to be affectionate, get lost, you don't know how lucky you were, alas you brought this upon yourself. I didn't refute any of these scoldings this time. They were right. I had nothing to say. Sienna really sold the house where we used to live. When I found out I immediately asked my friend to help me buy it. For this I emptied all my money and just managed to scrape together the down payment. Later when my friend gave me the key he said to me, Sienna is 5 months pregnant, when are you going to find another girlfriend? I was in a daze for a moment. Me, forget it. After moving in I found that pink diary in the drawer of the room. Sienna was so careless that she left it behind. However, she also seemed very careful. I searched the whole room but couldn't find a single photo of her. The end.